I have had this footage sitting on my computer for a hot minute. I just want to pop in here and say that, okay? Because it's gonna start where I'm like talking about how I want to make like some meals and all this stuff and how I ordered a lot of Uber and blah 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 blah. This footage is like 2 months old. Like, I'm not even gonna lie. I don't know what happened. I started editing it, never finished it, and it never went up. So I'm gonna let you guys watch me make some stuff. It's gonna kind of hop from one thing to the next. I'm gonna show you guys how I make the best pizza in the world. Amazing quiche. It's so good. I've made a lot of quiches, but this one that I filmed is the best quiche I've ever made. It was delicious. I also make meatloaf. So if you guys would like to watch me make 3 of my favorite things, not my only favorite things, but some of them, then go ahead and keep watching this video. All right, what we're doing in today's video is I'm gonna be showing you guys some meals that I've been making. Basically, for a big portion of my adult life, I've been lazy with food. When I was vegetarian, I cooked a lot more, and then when I was vegan, I cooked a lot more because you kind of have to, which is a pro to being vegan and vegetarian. We moved to the area that we're in now and Uber became accessible. I have spent way too much money on Uber, but since having a baby, I don't want my child living off of Uber Eats or fast food or restaurants. I want him to grow up eating home-cooked meals from his mom. So I'm trying to get back into that. And yeah, I do realize that I am 32 years old. Yes, honeys, 32 years old. This is probably something I should have been doing long before today. But you know what? We all gotta start somewhere. I have already made some really good meals. I've been doing a lot of my shopping at Aldi. So this kind of ends up being a video where you're not only seeing some of the meals that I've been making, which are delicious. Basically everything I've been using to make these meals is Aldi. Aldi is very inexpensive and they have really good food. I forgot to show you guys this plated because we were starving and I had a really long day, but I'm gonna show you guys how I make my meatloaf. It is the best meatloaf that you are ever gonna eat in your entire life. I promise you. Follow this to a T, even down to accidentally putting more white vinegar in the sauce that goes on the top of the meatloaf, even down to that. This is so good. Every time I make this meatloaf, I'm like, why am I not eating this every single day? If you want to do like an entire loaf, it's going to be 2 pounds of ground beef, but I'm going to use half of this because I'm making meatloaf cups. You're going to want Italian seasoning, fresh parsley, but I don't have that, so I never use fresh parsley, but I'm using this. An egg, salt, pepper, of course, ketchup, an onion, garlic. I'm using this. People judge you for that. I don't fucking care. Come at me. And then for the glaze that goes on top, it's going to be ketchup, salt, pepper, onion, garlic, distilled white vinegar, and brown sugar. And then because I'm making little cups, I'm using this muffin tin. And I cut some parchment paper so that it will fit in here like that because it makes the meatloaf come out so easy. You could probably spray this, but that's what I'm doing. Oh, and I forgot another thing. This is actually really important. This is panko. You can also make your own breadcrumbs if you want. I've done that before with meatloaf, but this is what the ingredients are. That's literally all you need. It is so freaking easy. Also, I do not cut my onions like a professional. I cut them like I Ubered for 2 years or some shit, and now I'm trying to be a professional cook, but I'm not. I don't know what I'm doing. So a really good way to do this is if you have the time, saute your onions first and then put them in the meatloaf. That is so good, but I'm not doing that. Is this how professionals cut their onions? Onions? Preferably get them smaller than this. You know what would also be really good in this is if you sauteed your onions and you had like green bell peppers or something. It would kill my husband, so we're not doing that. Okay, so then I'm gonna put my onions in, but like I said, you should have sauteed these. This is like Trisha Paytas, but worse. You're gonna do your panko, 1.5 tablespoons of ketchup, a little extra for effect. We like to add extra ketchup in the top. And then an egg. It's whatever my heart desires.
It's like a tablespoon.
Dude, trust me, this meatloaf fucking slaps. I'm literally just gonna do it. We're just putting our seasonings
Just
in.
add that much, guys. Just add that much.
Do whatever you want. You can
About
follow.
that much.
And the only thing that sucks with this is you put salt in it, but you never know if you're doing too much or not enough salt because you can't taste it because it's ground beef. And if you eat ground beef raw,
Probably nothing will happen, but not recommended.
no, that's disgusting.
Well, yeah, just but.
You're a gross person if you do that.
And then you're gonna Play-Doh it.
Then you just freaking. This is so cold.
That's why I wear gloves whenever I do it.
Your surgical gloves, it makes
Yeah.
everything look gory when
know.
you do that. Like you are ripping up rotisserie chicken. But yeah, when I made this with the sauteed onions, that was so good. But you just go in like that.
Yeah, because when you saute them, it gives a nice like, caramelized flavor. Which
And
kind
I
of
like to
happens
do
when
it
you're
with
baking.
butter too, because everything's better with butter. Just ask Paula Dean, she will tell you. Just get it mixed up real nice.
I mean, and if you guys are like vegetarian too, like you could literally do this with the Impossible meat.
Yes.
Like it's just like a 1-for-1.
I used to make a really good meatloaf
Yeah.
with Impossible
We
meat.
used to be a vegetarian, so we know all about that stuff.
So I just kind of start with a ball when I put these in because it makes it a little bit easier. And then you just kind of form it like that. Literally, it's so easy. And you just do this until you're out of meatloaf. That's literally all you do.
Like what, like, I don't know, baseball-sized chunks?
And this is just if you do like if you half it and you do muffins.
Large jawbreaker shape.
Like that.
Yeah, it's like a large jawbreaker.
God, our son is being so good while we're doing this.
I know, because he discovered his toes.
I also apologize for my dirty stove while I'm doing this, but you know what?
We'll clean it after.
No, we won't.
I will.
There's no we in I. No, there's no we in you.
There's no we. Never mind.
There's no we in either one.
Just gonna pretend I didn't do that.
I haven't tried it with just olive oil spray. So I'm gonna do whatever's left with that just so I see if it works.
It should work just fine. I mean,
This is what it's gonna look like when it goes in. It's just gonna look like that. That is half of this. It just looks like that. That's it. It is so easy. It's so good. Okay, for the glaze, it's 3/4 cup of ketchup. Well, that's for the original. I'm gonna
move
do
that out of the way.
about that much. Maybe a little bit more. I don't know why I didn't just squirt it in the thing. About like that. I'm following my heart. This is a 1/2 teaspoon because I don't know where my full teaspoon is. We're gonna do probably 1 full. About like that. We're gonna do like about that. I'm kind of measuring with my heart, honestly.
About 2 tablespoons.
I'll let you know if it was good or not.
Sage how to melt down.
A little bit of pepper. We're coming, baby. Mama and Daddy is on Food Network. A little bit of salt. This is garlic powder. I'm gonna do about like that.
This angle is so bad.
It doesn't matter. Onion powder, about like that. And then you mix, 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 mix. And I'll let you know what it tastes like because I poured so much white vinegar in this. Which we like vinegar, so. All right, let's try. Happy accidents. That's good. That's better than last one.
Meatloaf cupcake things are done. Kyeluh is feeding her son, so I'm in charge of putting glaze on him and getting terrible camera angles. Come on. Alright. How's it good? I'm trying to shut the camera cable in the oven. Shut the timer off. Shut up. I hate those things. Okay, so that's what they look like when they come out. The first time, we're gonna have to grab the sauce, or glaze, whatever she called it. Alright, dude, I don't know how the hell she does this with one hand. This is why I don't YouTube. Alright, so she told me to scoop out the glaze, and just use all of it on all of the meatloaf cupcakes, I guess you want to call them. Remember when my mom used to make meatloaf when I was a kid? I was okay. Anyway, my mom used to make meatloaf when I was a kid. I used to think it was just the most boring thing in the world. I was like, ugh, it's just so gross. Now Kyeluh makes this, and it's really, really, really good. Sorry if the angles are shit. I don't ever do this. I'm just trying to cover for Kyeluh. It's like almost perfect amount too. These ones aren't gonna get as much love because there's not a lot of sauce left. I should try and do this shit with one hand. I don't know how the hell she does this. Maybe I'll get lucky and she'll just like put music over this to speed it up or something. I don't know. Yeah, I think that's good. So then once again, try not to burn the camera cable since we have it plugged in the wall. Back in. There. And I go back in for 10 minutes. And then hopefully Kyeluh takes over from here because I'm terrible at this.
The next thing I'm going to show you guys is my pizza. Now, I'm a mom, so anything that has too much is too much. Sometimes if I hear like something has more than one step, I'm like, I definitely don't have time to do that. But I can assure you guys, it sounds like more than what it is because a lot of it is just seconds of starting something and then walking away from it. Once you get some of this stuff going, you can take a break to do whatever you need to do. So I like to do this recipe, you know, if I need to nurse in like 10 minutes, then I will start this up, and then once I'm done nursing, I can finish the dough and all of that. I personally find this pizza recipe to be one of the easiest things to make as a mom. It's so delicious. It's so good. I make the homemade dough, the homemade sauce, whole shebang. It's so good. And then all of the toppings were from Aldi. I'm filming this on my phone because my camera batteries are dead. But we are going to make pizza today. This is so good and it's so easy. It's actually a lot easier than you think to make your own dough. We're gonna be using Italian seasoning, garlic powder, oregano, salt, a cup of water that is warm. It's still warm. We're going to be using 1 packet of active dry yeast, 2 to 2.5 cups of flour, a tablespoon of sugar, and not this coffee. That is just in the way, and olive oil. And I'm doing this in my KitchenAid mixer. I'm going to add in a cup of warm water, a tablespoon of sugar. All right, I'm gonna put in this full packet of dry yeast. The last time I made this, I did 2, like I doubled it. I'm not doing that this time. So now I'm just gonna make sure that it's all mixed in really good. So I'm gonna let this sit in here until it gets frothy. While that's doing that, to my flour, I'm going to add in some salt. This is always such a struggle for me because whenever I cook, I'm such a taster. I really like to taste my food as I go, and when you make stuff like this, you can't. So I'm just gonna kind of eyeball the salt situation, maybe just a little bit more. I like to add in my own dry spices to my flour. So I'm gonna be doing, let me get these open really quick, garlic powder, oregano, and Italian seasoning. I like to add my own because I think it makes the crust taste better. I'm gonna do about that much of Italian seasoning. I do not, make sure it is garlic and not onion powder. I don't measure. Just put it in and you hope for the best. So I'm gonna mix this in. Well, without my hand, the whole bowl is stirring with it, but when you do this, your bowl won't spin in circles. We have a grumpy baby in the background because he had a really bad nap. I think I'm gonna add a little bit more oregano. This is what the flour looks like with all the seasonings in. It smells so good. And we're also gonna be using olive oil. Add in about a tablespoon of olive oil. I'm just kind of eyeballing it, probably about like that. I'm gonna gently stir in the olive oil. Just gently mix it in there. Then I'm going to gradually add in some flour. And I'm just using the paddle attachment to mix it. And then after it's mixed, I'm gonna switch it. So I switched to the hook and I'm just gonna let it work this dough for about 8 minutes. And I only have it on 2. So I'm just gonna let it do its thing. Over here, I'm cooking some leftover pork sausage. This is gonna be one of the toppings that goes on the pizza. It has been going for about 8 minutes. I'm gonna take the dough out of here, and I'm doing this with one hand, but you want to form like a little ball. I'm just going to put it inside of the bowl that I used to mix the flour, and I'm just going to cover this with a dish towel and wait until it doubles in size. So you can put whatever you want on your pizza, obviously, but I'm going to be using this Colby Jack blend that I have, mozzarella, pepperoni, well, leftover pepperoni because I dug into it. I'm sorry, I like to eat it for a snack, whatever. And then the sausage that I made. Now, what we also really like to do, this is what we did last time, it was so good, was olives and jalapenos. Oh my God. Literally the most delicious thing you're ever gonna have in your life. But we do not have any jalapenos because I used them last night on dinner, and we have no olives, which sucks, but this will still be good. The sausage is the star of the show. It has such good flavor. It's that sausage from Aldi's. This sausage has such a good flavor. Preheat your oven to 450. Get that going. Make sure there's nothing in there. I'm going to put mine in this pan. But if you have a pizza pan, use that. I'm gonna use this. It makes it so good and it makes so much. Last time I made this, I doubled the recipe. I'm not doing that this time because it was a lot of pizza, and if I make that much, we will eat it. And I also have this olive oil spray that I'm gonna spray all over there. Dough has basically doubled in size, and I'm just gonna get it all over the pan because your dough will stick otherwise, which we do not want. So I'm not gonna be able to film this part. I'm gonna shape this dough into the pan and I'll show you guys after. I can't do it at the same time. Okay, so I'm not covering up the whole pan because it'll make it too thin. I'm just kind of poking around with this knife. I don't really know if this part is completely necessary for this crust. I do it just in case because I don't want any mistakes. You know what I mean? Now I'm gonna take this crust and I'm going to pre-bake it because I want to make sure that it gets done. So I'm just gonna stick it in the oven, and I'm probably gonna do, I'm gonna start with 5 minutes, but it'll probably be closer to 10, and then I'm gonna check. Here's what it looks like out of the oven. Now I'm gonna make my pizza sauce because I forgot to like an idiot. This is what I'm using for my sauce. It's gonna be tomato sauce, tomato paste, diced tomatoes, garlic powder, onion powder, oregano, Italian seasoning, a little bit of pepper, and some salt. Okay, I'm going to put in my diced tomatoes. Oh, I forgot about this part. It's also going to be about a teaspoon of sugar. Okay, I put the tomato paste in. We're going to do a can of tomato sauce, a little bit of salt. I use pink Himalayan salt. I just like how it tastes. I'm going to, again, eyeball my garlic powder. I'm gonna eyeball my onion powder. Don't want to use too much of that because we don't want it to be super oniony. That'd be weird. I'm gonna add a decent amount of oregano and a decent amount of Italian seasoning. Okay, so I have all this in my NutriBullet. I'm going to mix it up. Okay, so I'm going to put this on the pre-baked crust. There's probably gonna be a lot of leftovers of sauce if you followed this measurements, because the last time I did this, I made 2 pizzas and I used that exact measurement of sauce. And this makes like a really nice, like thick sauce. Like it's not watery like some of the pizza sauces that you get at the store. I definitely think we are gonna have leftovers, but if we do, maybe I can just like go get those jalapenos and olives at some point and make another one. Yeah, we do not skip on the sauce in this house. So we had a lot of leftovers of sauce, but what would be really good with it is if you had extra dough, you could make some like jalapeno cheese sticks and dip it in it, and it would be really, really good. I actually think I might try that next time. So this is what it looks like with sauce on it. Now I'm going to get my mozzarella and start putting on the cheese. This is another thing, you don't want to skip on the cheese. You know what I mean? Mama has to have dairy pills in this house when she eats this bad boy, but it is worth it. This is gonna be really good. This is gonna be a winner. And then I'm gonna add a little bit of this Colby Jack on here just to give it, you know, something else. You can just do mozzarella though, you do not have to do this. I don't like to have too much of this, but just a little bit to give you a little extra something. Now I'm going to add the pepperonis on here and I'm gonna load it up. We don't want any piece of this to be missing pepperoni. We may run out of pepperonis because I was snacking on them on my free time. Yeah, we're gonna run out right at the end. I might have to space them out a little bit. Okay, so this is what the pizza looks like with pepperoni. Now I'm going to add the sausage on top. I'm still thinking about the fact that we don't have jalapenos. And I'm really mad about it because I don't know why, but ever since I had my son, like ever since I was pregnant, I've been into spicy things. I used to not like spicy stuff, but now I'm a spicy fan. And if it's spicy, I'm into it. So we're just gonna spread the sausage all about. This is gonna be so good. It looks amazing. So that is what it looks like before it goes in the oven. Tell me that does not look good. And actually this whole pizza is Aldi's. Okay, so this is gonna go in the oven for probably, I'll start with 8 minutes and then I'll just check it because, you know, you do not want to burn your pizza, but I would say 8 to 10 minutes probably. Whoa, there she goes. We're gonna start with 8 minutes and hope for the best. Prepare for the worst. Mine was done in 8 minutes. This is what it looks like. And then once it is sliced, I will show you guys and I will let Mark review it because Mama looks like poopy right now, so you guys aren't gonna be seeing me. But that's it done. The crust is homemade, the sauce is homemade, The only thing that's not homemade is the toppings, but you know what? We made it and we're happy about it. It looks good. Good?
It's so good.
So if they follow like everything to a T, they'll like it, you think?
Well, in my opinion, I think it tastes like restaurant quality. Like,
Really?
It's really good. Like, a lot of homemade pizzas taste like that, like, pre-made, like, Chef Boyardee box mix. This doesn't taste like that at all.
Is it good with the red pepper on it and Parmesan?
I don't think I put enough on it to really taste it.
Oh, okay.
But it's really good.
So we are preparing our crust for a quiche. This is a 3-ingredient, well, 4-ingredient if you count the salt crust. It is so easy. And this is going to be the crust for our quiche that we make later. So you're going to need half a stick of butter or half a cup of butter, and you're going to cube it so that it looks like that, and you want it to be cold. You're also going to need some salt. You're going to need some ice water. Make sure it's ice water, not just cold water. It needs to be ice water. And 1 1/4 cup of flour. First, I have a huge bowl here. It's a little bit too big, to be honest. Put your flour in another bowl, and then you're going to take your butter and you're just gonna put it in there like that. You can either mix this together with clean hands or you can use a fork. Okay, so here is what mine looks like. It's just kind of like lumpy, crumply like that. And then you're gonna take a teaspoon or a tablespoon and you're just gonna gradually add a little bit of water at a time, like just like that. And I'm just gonna work mine with my fingers into the situation. Let me see if I can get you guys a little bit closer so you can see. This is kind of not angled right. Just a little at a time, because you don't want to accidentally do too much water, which I have done before, and it makes your crust hard and just not a good texture. And like, believe it or not, you don't need as much water as you think that you do. Like, it will come together. Also, my dumbass forgot to put the salt. You want to put your salt in before that. That was the incorrect thing to do. You want it to kind of be flaky and easy to cut. Just kind of like mix it all up like that, about like that. Yeah, I think that's gonna be it. I gotta use both my hands for a second, y'all. And honestly, that may have even been slightly too much water, but it'll be fine. Then you're just gonna like form yourself like a ball. Doesn't have to be perfect. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. Just get it kind of like that, and then you have your nice little flour ball. This is gonna be our crust for our quiche. You wanna make sure that you prepare this before you're starving, because I've made the mistake of not doing that before in the past, where I'm already really hungry and I wanna eat, and the thing I think of is like, hey, you need to chill your dough. So you can wrap this in saran wrap or in like a covered bowl or whatever, which is probably what I'm gonna do. That's what it looks like, and then I will see you guys in a couple hours. What I am using for this quiche, and what's really great about quiche, is that you can literally put so many different things in it. I've never made this version, but I think it'll be really, really good. I like to put mozzarella cheese in it. I think it tastes delicious, and I have some leftover mozzarella from Aldi, so I'm gonna be putting this in it. I'm going to be putting some spinach, which is really good in quiche. I'm going to be topping it with green onions once it's cooked. I'm going to be putting sun-dried tomatoes in it. And you can use cream or dairy milk, but I'm gonna be adding what's left of this almond milk. I'm not entirely sure how much of this I'm gonna need yet. I will wait until I'm making it, and then I'll let you guys know about how much it was. I'm also gonna do salt, pepper, and parsley. And that is all of the ingredients that is going to be going inside of this quiche. You could do different cheeses, you could do meats. Like, we have some sausage that I thought about, but I feel like the spinach and sun-dried tomato situation, I think that's gonna be really good. But this is what you need to go in it, and I will be back in a couple hours. Well, for you guys in a second. You're just gonna cut your green onion. I'm doing this in advance because Mark's got the baby right now, and you know, I don't know if he's gonna be close to being hungry when I'm making this or whatever. So since I have the time to right now, I'm just gonna go ahead and prepare what can be prepared now, which I always recommend doing. So I'm gonna put my green onions in here so that it is easily accessible for later. I think my baby's hungry. And if you're wondering what that is, it is olive oil. You're gonna just go ahead and cut your sun-dried tomatoes. I think this is gonna be really good. And just so you know, my baby is not alone. He's with his dad. I don't know how many of these sun-dried tomatoes I'm gonna want. So I'm just kind of eyeballing. Kind of looks like raisins. It is not, and they smell so good. I always start doing stuff like right when he's hungry. Okay, so that should be so that should be pretty good for the sun-dried tomatoes. I'm gonna go ahead and put them. I'm gonna put them in there. I think that should, maybe I should put some more. Second guessing my life. We'll do one more. A little extra never hurt anybody, depending on what it was. And now you're left with the mess. So now you're gonna get you your pie pan. Preheat your oven to 375 because you're gonna blind bake your crust. So just get your pan all oiled up so that it doesn't stick. We'll set that aside. So I shaped my crust into this pan. If you want to roll yours out, you can do that, but I just shaped mine into it with my fingers because the dough, I left it in for too long and it was hard as a rock. I'm gonna go through and I'm gonna stab little holes with a fork all around just so there's like breathing room, because we are going to pre-bake our crust. I think they call it like blind baking. Throw it in the oven for probably 15 minutes. I'm not sure how long. It's until it's like golden. I will write on here how long that was or tell you guys. But preheat your ovens to 375 before you do your crust. All right, so in this bowl, I'm going to put in the eggs, and it's gonna be 5 eggs, and you're just gonna crack them in there. So it's gonna have the 5 eggs in there. You're gonna add salt, which I always say this, but it's always tough whenever you're making something and you can't taste test it to make sure you put enough salt in it. You just kind of have to hope for the best. And you're gonna put in some pepper, and I'm going to add parsley. I'm just gonna add a pinch. It's probably about a teaspoon. And then you're gonna whisk this all together so it'll look like that. And then you're just gonna whisk, 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 whisk. I'm using just a fork because I had one, so no need to mess up a whisk if you have a fork. It literally does the exact same thing. Also, before you whisk it, you can go ahead and add your milk. I'm gonna add a little bit of cream too. I didn't mention the cream earlier on accident. Add some of that and then just like a splash of cream. That will make them nice and creamy. Now what you can do is you can put your cheese and stuff on the bottom of your pie crust, or you can mix it in here. I'm just gonna mix it in with the eggs. So I'm gonna do probably about a half a cup of cheese. And I'm just gonna mix it all together so that the cheese melts into the egg. And then I'm going to add the roasted red tomatoes that we chopped earlier. And then we're going to add some spinach, just like a nice little handful of it. And then when you put the spinach in there, it will kind of like wilt it a little bit, so it'll shrink. It won't just be like huge spinach leaves. It'll start to kind of look like that, so it's all mixed together really nice. I just remembered that I have some grated Parmesan. I'm gonna add just a little bit of that in there too. Sprinkle frank. I might actually top it with that. So it'll be topped with green onions and a little bit of Parmesan. It's like sometimes when I'm cooking, I just add as I go and I get like different ideas. So I have this like Colby Jack. I think I'm gonna take some of this Colby Jack cheese and sprinkle it on the bottom. So I think I'm just gonna put a little bit down there to add some extra flavor. I think it'll be really good. Not too much because there's already a bunch of cheese in it, but just sprinkle some of it. And then you're going to pour your quiche mixture on top of that. And you're gonna have to like spread out like all the ingredients to make sure that they're in the quiche, because sometimes whenever you pour it, they kind of float on top. Make sure you can see a little bit of spinach, a little bit of roasted red tomatoes everywhere so that you get some in every slice. Now, if you have tomatoes, I would recommend topping them, like slicing them and topping the quiche evenly with tomatoes, because it's really, really good. It like adds a little bit of like sweetness, but we don't have any. Ours went bad, so I thought we had some, but they got all wrinkly. So you're just gonna put this in the oven for 40 minutes and check it and make sure that the eggs are done. Because I'm a mom, something got away with me. I don't know what it was, but there is no video of the final product. If you guys like this video, let me know and I'll definitely do more of them and maybe a little bit better at like showing you guys me while I'm making everything. I'm gonna go ahead and leave you guys with that. Subscribe if you're not yet subscribed, and I'll see you guys soon for another video.